So I have a paranormal story to share with you guys tonight. I shared a vampire story with one of my friends, and she told me one back, and to say the least, it's a scary story, and I'm going to share it with you guys. We're going to call my friend Kayla because she does not want me to tell her name. The main reason she doesn't want me to tell her name is because whenever she tells the story, nobody believes her. But I do, because I have been through my fair share of the paranormal. She started it off by saying, I survived something nobody will believe. She said she stopped telling the story because nobody would believe her. Okay, so she said it started when she was walking home. It was nighttime and she was walking home from her friend's house, and that's when she saw in the dark by a stop sign a girl standing there with long black hair and bare feet. She said her skin was so white it almost glowed. She said she was about to ask her if she was okay, and in that moment she lifted her head up really fast at Kayla. She said her eyes were just not human whatsoever. She said they were like bright red, like something burning from inside. Kayla then said she froze and that the girl just smiled at her with the creepiest smile, and they weren't human teeth. She said they were like razor blades. They were metal and sharp. Now this is where it gets weird to me because Kayla was in her neighborhood and she was going home. She said her neighborhood was changing. Everywhere she went, it was a different block and it kept changing, like as if her neighborhood was folding in on itself and with reality. And on each block, every time she turned, the girl was closer. She then said the air got colder, it started to fog up when she would breathe, and then she said it felt like it was like her vision was shaking, like as if her eyes were shaking back and forth and she couldn't see correctly. That is when it gets worse. This time she looked back, but they were everywhere. Everywhere. This literally gives me the chills. She said they were crawling out of the shadows, just dozens of them everywhere. She said they were all pale like the girl with red eyes, just glowing watching her. And she said she was running, but they were not running nor walking, but somehow were still at the same pace as her. And then she said whenever she blinked, they got closer. This is when the first one she saw whispered in her ear, I smell the fear on you. Kayla said at that moment she could not breathe, her legs locked up, and she said it felt like her heart was trying to stay inside of her chest, like it wanted to escape. She then said they started circling her, and at that moment they were just smiling with creepy smiles, and she felt like they owned her or something already. She then said a male one approached her and said, don't worry, you won't unalive right now, not right away anyway. She then said that is when she remembered feeling woozy. At that moment, she felt herself get pricked by something, and everything turned black. She said right before everything turned black, she remembers being on her back on the ground and someone dragging her. Then she said she just woke up the next day in her bed. She said no bruises, no wounds, and she thought for a while that maybe it was just a nightmare. But that is when she said she noticed something. Her bedroom window was open and she had it closed. And on the window there was a red fingerprint. She said it was not hers and it was not a human's fingerprint. She said to this day she thinks they're still around because she hears their footsteps at night outside of her room or hears them whisper into her ear like they did outside. And she wanted me to say this. Vampires don't just hunt you once, they hunt you forever. And TikTok, I have to say this is just for entertainment purposes only.
One of my favorite hobbies is reading scary Reddit stories, so let's read some. Got my spooky spider squishmallow. Mom was driving and a guy ran out in the road, so she stopped so she couldn't hit him. It was nighttime, so it was pretty dark out, and 3 other men emerged from the forest, all trying to use the door handles of her car to get in. She locked them, luckily, and gassed it to the nearest town. Remember to always lock your car after you start it, because if it wasn't locked, who knows what would have happened to her. That is so freaking true. I always check like the back seat of my car before I get in it, and I always immediately lock my car doors when I get in my car because ain't nobody catching me like that. When my aunt was about 16, she was working at a grocery store and had a boss in his mid-20s. One day, he called the house and was begging her to sneak out and hang out with him. She was considering it because it was her boss, and she didn't want to say no. My mom, who is 2 years younger than her, always gets these incredibly spot-on gut feelings. She had one that night and begged my aunt not to go out with him. Thankfully, she listened to my mom and told him no, which made him really angry. He ended up going out that night and meeting another girl. He took her out to some cliffs, raped her, and pushed her off. Somehow she lived through this and was able to get him sent to prison. I feel so sorry for the girl and so thankful for my mom and her gut feelings. Always trust your gut. Yeah, and like, don't go on dates with like creepy old men that you work with. Hell to the no. That gives me bad vibes already. I worked for U-Haul when I was 18, and it was located in front of a club that was also known for being really sketchy. I came in to open one morning, and it was common for people to knock on the door hoping to get in early and get their truck. On this day, I hear frantic knocking on the door. I'm there all alone still, so it kind of startled me. I look, and there's a woman completely naked, covered in what looks like blood. I called the cops and grabbed one of the moving blankets and went outside to cover her up. She smelled really bad and was a mess. Ended up being blood and her own shit. Found out later she was drugged at the club that night, early morning, raped and left blacked out in the alley. It was just a fucked up and surreal situation to be involved in. It's horrifying, but thank God the girl was able to like find somebody to help her. I was in a crappy motel. The room had bed bugs. I was too exhausted to go to the front desk. I just needed to make it until the morning. I slept in the tub. Hours later, I hear someone breaking through the window. I had a big knife with me and ran into the living room to find a man halfway through my window. We stared at each other for a while in shock. I think we both were scared. Then he says, "Is this your room?" I'm like, "Yes, this is my room, man." More staring, then slowly he starts backing out while cursing me for leaving my window unlocked and not expecting him to break in. And that motel was in Sacramento. So maybe don't stay at a hotel in Sacramento. My brother's ex-girlfriend had 2 older sisters. They unalived before she was born. One day they decided to play hide and seek or something, so anyway, they both climbed inside a chest and accidentally locked themselves in. They suffocated. My mom went to school with a guy who raped and unalived a few girls in her town. When they finally caught the guy, they found a list he made of his targets. My mom was next on the list. That's insane.
You want some scary shit? Now, our next segment is a compilation of quite a few stories about the same character. Now, the first young man stated he saw this character, let's call him the Hat Man, when he went to bed one night when he was 18 years old. He stated that he started feeling tingling in his head and buzzing, and he started hearing a high-pitched beeping in his ear. All of a sudden, he couldn't move. He looked towards his bedroom door, and there he saw the Shadow Man, or the Hat Man, whatever you want to call him. That was not his last run-in with the Hat Man. In fact, he states that to this day, he still has the run-in, only that every time he saw him after that, it got worse, as if the Hat Man went into his brain and found out his deepest fear, which was being buried alive. So now, when his sleep paralysis kicks in, it feels like someone is sucking the life out of him. He said he doesn't feel the pressure, but somebody is sucking the life out of him. Our next young lady had her first run-in with the Hat Man when she was 13 years old. Again, during sleep paralysis, she stated that the room got very still, calm, quiet, and even though it was a storm outside, she couldn't hear it anymore. She looked out the corner of her eyes, and there he was, standing there. Hat, collar popped, red eyes, shadow. Now, let's talk about the brothers. They were walking home from a football game, and they stayed in a hilly area. It was dark, but, it was lit by street lights. Brother A says that they heard a sound coming from the right side of the hill, and they both looked, and there was a man, an older gentleman, and he had on a large brim hat that covered his face, a 3-piece suit, little trench coaty. They didn't pay it any mind. They were not spooked to begin with. So they continued walking, and they said that they could feel him getting closer, but not hear him getting closer. So they moved over to the right side of the street, and he walked past them. When he walked past, they said hi. He mumbled something, nodded. Again, they were not able to see his face, and he kept walking. Not strange, right? Well, they continued, they walked, and they were about a quarter of a mile away from their home, and it happened again. They heard the sound, they turned around, and the man was there. This time they kind of picked up the pace a little bit. Not quite a run, not quite a jog, just a little power walk. Anywho, he caught up with them again. This time he walked past them. They didn't say anything. He didn't say anything to them. When he disappeared in front of them into the darkness, they took off running home. And when they got there, they told their mother what happened. Their father had passed away recently, and the mother goes to tell them that their father and his brother saw the same man. And ever since the first time they saw him, they continued to see them for the rest of their life. Now, who is the Hat Man? But it seems that he feeds off of fear. If he doesn't scare you the first time, he'll try his damnedest to do it the second. Anyway, y'all be safe out there. Some of us have never seen him, thank God. But if you ever do, remember, he feeds off of fear. That's some scary shit.
Can we show him the older homestead?
Okay, yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
So this is the story time about when I seen my life flash before my eyes. So it's the holidays, and usually I come home for the holidays, whether it be Thanksgiving or Christmas. Haven't been home for the holidays in a few years because I live so far and it's so expensive with me and 3 kids. So now that we're closer, we live in Georgia, I decided to come home this time. I take a flight from Valdosta to Atlanta, Atlanta to Baltimore. You have to connect because Valdosta is a very small airport. Even the planes are small. So the flight from Valdosta to Atlanta was cool. A little bit of turbulence, but like nothing major. It was raining in Atlanta. They had already told us that, and that coming in it would be a little bumpy. So we expected it. We get off of that flight. We had a layover, so me and my kids decided to eat at Phillips, crab cake, cream of crab soup, stuff from back home that we probably wouldn't get because we would be so busy here. So we get on the Delta flight that's going to take us from Atlanta to Baltimore. We pull off from the jetway and we stop, and we're sitting there. Everybody's wondering what's going on. Like, why are we still sitting here? Pilot hasn't said nothing. Maybe it's about to start raining again, so he's trying to wait out the turbulence, see if it's going to rain or not. Okay, so we chill. So we are sitting there for about 35 minutes before the pilot finally comes on and say, hey, there's a mechanical issue that needs to be fixed. We have to go back to the gate, but we're just waiting on the gate to open. They said about another 20 to 25 minutes. Everybody's confused because we're supposed to leave at 11 to make it to Maryland by 12:45. Like, People had plans, you know, rental cars, hotels, stuff like that. So we finally get to a gate around 11:50. Pilot comes over and was like, hey, it's fixed. It was a quick fix. It wasn't nothing safety concerning or anything like that. As soon as I get my paperwork, we're out of here. Okay, cool. We sit there till about 12:05. We finally start to pull off. We take off. And we're inclining, and you know, it's a bumpy incline. Like, we're like, whoa, this is a bunch of turbulence. Like, what's going on? We never felt this before. So my baby is asleep, and my 4-year-old is up looking out the window. So my stomach starts getting like queasy and churning because I have a fear of falling. So I don't really like roller coasters that drop or anything that drop because it makes me sick. So we're going through all the turbulence, and we're up, you know, pretty high, but we could still see houses. Like, we wasn't in the clouds yet. We could see the clouds reaching us, but we wasn't in the clouds yet. As we were going up, we just start to drop. And it wasn't like we were dropping back. We were just dropping, like, and dropping fast. And it wasn't like 5 seconds to drop in. It wasn't like 10 seconds to drop in. For 30 seconds, all you hear is screaming, people praying, stuff flying off the airplane, backwards off the airplane. If people had cups was spilling. A baby pacifier flew to the back of the plane. And my baby pops up and he's scared. And my 4-year-old is terrified. I see my 15-year-old in front of me holding on to the chair for his dear life. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, damn, me and my 3 kids are all together on this flight. And we got family waiting for us to come home. And my husband is at home by himself. So that's a daughter that's not coming home, a sister, a aunt, a wife, and her mother and her 3 kids. So I start crying. And I open my phone and I start sending my mom and my sisters my flight detail and said, please keep an eye on my flight. Our plane is falling out the sky. And as I send the message, the pilot gets the plane under control and we start inclining again. But at that moment, it's nothing you can do because you're thousands of feet in the air. You're strapped at just the waist. This plane is made out of metal. And then for me and my whole family was on a plane. So that was the moment that I thought about a lot. With my kids, with myself, with my husband, I thought about the life that I had growing up. The things that I could have did right, that I didn't do right. But I'm glad I fixed them. Not having no bad blood with anybody. It's just my kids wouldn't experience life. They wouldn't go off to middle school, high school, prom, graduation. They will be forever 15, forever 4, and forever 3. And it was crazy. And I couldn't save them. I couldn't do anything but just sit and hold them as we're dropping. By the grace of God, He got us here. He got us here safely. The landing was rough, super rough, but we made it here. And it was an Indian guy beside me, and he looked at me and he looked at my babies and was like, God covered you. And you know, he's Indian. So it was weird to even hear him say that. But like, I don't know if he's seen like my cross on my neck, so he said it to me. But we was definitely covered by everything. And it was crazy. And I was just like, it was crazy. Like, my 4-year-old told my mom, once we got to my mom's house, like, our plane was falling out the sky. And Khalil is like, I seen my life flash before my eyes. Like, it was crazy. Like, my son would have to do his own story time so y'all can get his feelings and his emotion. He can laugh about it now, so he might be a little comedic about it. But I'm like, well, at least we made it to our destination. And he goes, yeah, more like our final destination. And I was like, yeah, you're weird. But God covered us. And because we have to fly back home, I'm just hoping he just keeps a hold on us till we land in Valdosta. Me and my 3 babies. So yeah, that's my story time about when my life flashed before my eyes.
This girl was babysitting and she kept getting strange calls asking her, have you checked the children? And at the start, like, she laughed it off, like, because her mates and all knew she was babysitting and whatever. So she was like, it's a joke. She's like, nice try. Like, Jenny, is this you? One thing we're not going to do, we're not going to be taking it as a joke, okay? Calls like that, no, we take it serious, okay? Thanks. But the calls kept coming, and each time the calls were coming, she's answering the phone and then, like, looking around because she's like, it feels like the voice is getting closer. And the kids are upstairs, and even though she wants to make sure they're safe, she's like, I am not going to purr. Do you know what I mean? So she will not go up and check on the children, but, like, the calls are telling her check on the children, but, like, what would you even do? I wouldn't. I would be sat, no, matter of fact, I would be out of that house and on the phone to the police. So she eventually does take it seriously and ring the police, thank God, like, and the police come, and it turns out they said the phone call she was getting was coming from inside the house. So someone was in the house while she was there. And, like, this is like something like a scream or something, please. And they were ringing her. So because the police have traced the calls and it's inside the house, they go upstairs and the intruder is hiding upstairs. That's why he kept trying to get her to go upstairs and was saying, like, check the children. And thank God she didn't go up there by herself. So they arrested the man and he had weapons and everything. Like, what was he planning to do? What? This is actually just so terrifying.
We have an Appalachian Mountains story on our hands. So I was listening to one of my favorite spooky story podcasts, and I came across this one, and it was pretty spooky. This guy says that he went to college at Appalachian State, and for fun, he didn't really like to go to bars or to go drinking, but he loved to go to abandoned places and just kind of roam around and explore. So he says that there was some sort of cave that was underneath a bridge, and he had been there before, the year prior. Nothing spooky really happened. So he had told his friends, you know what, this place is kind of cool, we should go. His friends are like, okay, yeah, let's go. They are going under there. He says that it's so tight to get in. They have to, like, shimmy their way in there. First of all, I have claustrophobia. It ain't happening. So anyways, they get there, and he says that off the bat, he noticed that it was very different this time. There was so many different markings, pentagram markings, and it looked like someone had some sort of seance in there. Again, that wasn't there the year prior. Nonetheless, they continue on their little tour, and they're going deeper and deeper, and right above, they go into this crawl space to get to the next area. Right above that crawl space, it says he's in there, and it's pointing in the direction that they're going. Of course, people always do and say spooky things, so he didn't think much of it. Him and his friends are like, are you still down? And they were down. They are going into that crawl space to go into the next space, and all he has is a flash to his iPhone. There's a few of them, about 3 of them. So they are crawling in there. And as we know, the flash to our phones cannot reach that far. So he saw some sort of shadow and he didn't know what it was. So he was like, okay, what was that? He asks his friend for his flashlight because he had an actual flashlight. He shines it and he sees this really weird creature. He says he's never seen anything like this before. He's also never seen a giraffe, but you know what a giraffe would look like. And he had never seen anything similar to this. And as soon as they shine the light to him or to it, it literally started bouncing towards them, like off the walls in no specific direction, just going. Obviously, they book it. They are out. They're like, you know what, forget this. And they're out of there. They end up talking to each other and they're like, okay, we all saw the same thing. What do you think that was? No one had any type of explanation. That next morning, the person that's telling the story says that he is taking a shower. He's brushing his teeth in the shower. And out of nowhere, he spits out like this clot of blood. That had never happened before. Later that day, he meets with one of the friends that went with him into that cave. And the first thing that he says was, hey, you know what's weird? I spit out like a clot of blood today. And they were like, okay, we have to talk to the third person that was with us because... And literally the same exact thing happened to him. He doesn't like to talk about the story. 1, because he's scared. 2, he has a feeling that not a lot of people will believe him. But it is so crazy, the lore and the secrecy of what happens in the Appalachian Mountains, because we literally have no idea what is truly going on in there and what any of this is. They ended up doing some sort of research and he ended up coming up with some sort of demon. That it was a demon that was called to protect that area. Nonetheless, he doesn't like to talk about it, but isn't it scary? Like, I don't know, the Appalachian Mountains just freak me out. Listen to the story on the podcast called Radio Rental. So spooky. If you guys have not heard about that podcast, I highly suggest it. And if you guys have any spooky stories, make sure that you send them.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
Alright, y'all, back with another story time, and you might want to pay close attention to this one. Just a little FYI, it's not my story. It was sent in to me, but yeah, you might want to listen. You ever experienced something that you just cannot explain no matter how hard you try, and it's just still unexplainable to this day? Literally cannot wrap my head around this. It's crazy. The person asked to remain anonymous for the story, so I'm going to be reading it in first person point of view. Last week I was at a coffee shop. I ordered my drink, went and sat down, read my book, nothing out of the ordinary. But then I noticed there was an older woman across the table from me, just sitting there staring at me. And why? Why are you just staring at me? But y'all, what was so crazy is when I looked at her and she looked at me, we made eye contact and she looked so freaking familiar. Like, now I'm thinking, where did I meet you? Like, have we ever ran across each other's paths? Like, what? Y'all, so tell me why not even 30 seconds later, she looked at me directly, we made eye contact, and she smiled and waved. What? Yeah, I won't even lie. I looked at her for a minute, and I smiled, and I waved back at her, too. I wasn't even gonna play it weird, because I wanted to see what was really going on. Like, what? Y'all, tell me why she gets up, comes over to me, smiles at me again, looks and says, "You don't remember me, do you?" So me being confused, I shook my head like, no. Then she says with the softest, sweetest voice, "It's okay, I wasn't supposed to see you again." Before I could even respond, she smiled again, handed me a note, and she walked out of the door. I don't know which way, where she went at all, but I know she handed me a note and she got gone. So y'all, when I opened the note says, "I'm sorry, I could not save you the first time." The first time from what? What were you saving me from? So yeah, that scared the mess out of me. So I get up, I jot outside, and I'm looking for the lady. I'm looking. When I tell y'all she's gone, like she never existed. It's like she disappeared into thin air. Like, it's got me going crazy for real. I still have no idea who this lady was or what did she mean by I could not save you the first time. Like, what is going on? What did she mean by save me the first time? Like, what happened to me? Why are you in need of trying to save me a second time? What would you do in the situation if this happened to you?